She's older, right? She should start.
That was so funny. I'm sorry.
Welcome to Sip and Tip. I'm MJ.
And I'm Zane.
Today, we are going to talk about
preschoolers.
All right. Preschoolers are often misunderstood. They want to play, and we want them to sit still. But no, they do need a lot of attention because their imaginations at this age is off the hook. They turn everything into a game, but they are very logical in some senses. Yeah. They will regurgitate everything you've said or done right back to you in a way that makes you go, huh? You'll be in a full-fledged dispute with the preschooler over why they should choose the pink over the blue or the red over the green. And they'll say something that you said a year ago about these things, and you're like, I remember saying that too. So, these are our tips for dealing with preschoolers because we've done this too many times to count. What's your first tip?
Let them speak.
Yeah.
We've got to find a way to allow our children to speak more.
Yeah.
I've seen it too often. Children are either afraid to speak or they just don't. And when your children go out to go play at a friend's house or go play at a family member's house, you want them to come back and say, Mom, I did this and this is how much fun I had. Where is that these days? I don't see it a lot.
Yeah.
So allow them to speak. Let them tell you about the things that they found or the things that they've learned. It might be something in their show and they're like, I want you to see this. Do you know anything? And if they're talking to you, you gotta listen.
Yeah.
You gotta listen. You've got to be present.
I think what's equally important is letting them choose. Don't fight over the green or the blue. Don't fight over the pink or the purple. Let them choose. It doesn't match. Oh well.
Right.
I often find that a lot of parents will debate with children or use the because I said so method on their preschoolers because they want them to align with what they know to be true. And yes, to a degree, parents know better. Parents know more. We've been here longer. And we've lived through more things than our preschooler. But they don't learn by what we know. They learn by doing. So if you have, a plate of food and you put it on the table and you say it's hot, of course it's not a plate of food that's going to give the child first or second degree burn, but it's enough to awaken their senses. If they choose not to listen, watch them. And then teach them how to appropriately deal with what's happening. Because it's not hurting them in a grand scheme. It's teaching them. I'm not saying, let them pour a pot of hot water. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you put the food on the table, especially like spaghetti retains heat. Oatmeal retains heat. I wouldn't put it on right from the stove on the table and say it's hot. But give it a few seconds, put it on there. It's still on the hotter side, but let them process because they have to learn the temperature that is okay for them, which is different from person to person. So teach them how to blow it. Teach them how to test with their tongue or their finger, depending upon what it is that they're eating, if it's too hot for them. If it's not too hot, it might be too hot for you, but it might not be too hot for them. Same thing with spices. Right. Let them try it and then move forward.
And it's funny because I'm the opposite. I don't feel heat.
Right.
So to me, it's not hot. But to them, it's scalding. So you've got to be real careful. You've got to let them learn the differences for themselves. Because I think I just jumped right into hot.
Yeah. But that critical thinking is founded on things like this.
Right.
These are the skills, not just with food, but with everything. Is this safe or not? Is this risky or not? Is this something that's going to hurt me or not? These are things that are founded during the preschool age.
Right. You got to let them figure things out as well. because I know I'm guilty of not letting them just figure it out. I've always been that parent that just said, oh, I got you. Oh, I'll help you. Oh, wait, don't do that. Oh.
Right.
And thanks to my daughter, having her daughter, and me watching, I now can take a step back and say, yeah, they have to learn that themselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah,
You've constantly been in the mix all the time. Oh, wait. No, you gotta.
It's really hard when you have anxiety too, because you're always anxious. The completely bad thing is going to happen.
Yes.
When that's not always the truth. That's not the only truth that can happen. That is playing a part.
Right.
I know for boys who jump on everything or off of everything.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, we're often like, don't jump from that. That's too high. That's it. They'll figure it out. Of course, there are some things that you do not want them to do. Like if it's, 10 feet off the ground, and they're 2 feet tall, you don't want them to make that jump. But if it's something that will land in a bump or a bruise, sometimes you gotta just let them do it, because that's how they're gonna learn. Yes, freak accidents happen, and simple things like walking can end in a concussion. I get that. But if they're not learning, all they're doing is saving all of these things for when they're bigger. And it's harder to recover oftentimes when you're older and bigger than it is when you're younger.
Yeah. I have a really hard time with that. I do still. I mean, grandbaby's outside running around. I'm scared she's going to fall. So, she trips one daggone time. I picked up. You're never going outside with just me again. I just can't.
Teach them how to make calculated risks, because that's what we do as adults. And the quicker they learn that, the better they'll be later in life. So what that means is talk to them about it. Okay, you're on that structure that's 6 feet tall. This is what I think is going to happen. And so the first time, maybe you let them do it while holding their hand. So then you have that like safety cord, if you will. So if they do fall, you can help them back up quicker, or maybe not as bad of an impact. Or you let them kind of calculate it out. And that's very feasible. Like maybe you'll stack up things and say, this is how tall you are. This is where the thing is. Do you think you can clear that and still make it wherever they think they're going? Because sometimes they don't think about it. They're just like, yay, let's go! Split-second decisions. But if you give them the tools to calculate their risk and what could happen versus what they think is going to happen, at least you're building that foundation for later in life. It's like stocks and bonds. You invest your money, there's a chance you could get a return. But there's a chance you might lose your money.
Yeah.
So they have to learn that one way or another. And there's no better way to learn it than letting them do some things. Not all things, because their imagination sometimes takes off.
And then you've got school. Now, to me, this is my own personal preference. I don't want mine going in there unless they can talk. You guys to be able to tell me something. You guys to be able to tell me your body parts, my name, your name. You guys to sell me on the fact that I can allow you to be out my presence.
That's when you go, what's your mom's name, mommy? Where does your mommy live? At our house. Where is your house? On a street.
Nope. You better tell me more detail, baby. Even if you said the White House with the red door, something like that there, at least I know you knew where home was. But I'm still not going to be comfortable letting you out.
See, and I'm a little different. I think the earlier they go to school, the more they're able to kind of assert themselves. Because as parents, we have these visions. From the day they're born, we look at them and instantly our brain thinks of all these visions for this child. Right after birth.
Yeah.
So all of those visions is what we try to make happen and come to light. And it's not a bad thing. It's great to have aspirations and have all these visions for your child, but personality kicks in at some point. And usually it's before preschool age, but we'll say it's in preschool age. Personality kicks in, and that changes what our plans are. This little person now has a voice and a temper and coping skills that maybe we didn't instill. Not directly, anyway.
Not to mention they got their own mind, which now they know that they can make their own choices, and they want to assert that responsibility. So yeah.
One of the things that often comes with preschool age is finding autonomy over something. So whether that's refusing to go to sleep at night, refusing to eat vegetables, refusing to get out the bed, or going back to bed after you get them out. Refusing, like, this is just their way of asserting their authority over something they feel like they have the control over. Oftentimes, for some children, it's also going to the bathroom. They won't use the bathroom all day, and then as soon as you get in the car, I really gotta go, it's so bad, right now, and you're like, we just left. This is because they want something that they can control.
Right.
So giving them the option to choose and allowing their choice to be valid. So this can be played out in many ways, whether it's making a menu and letting your child choose a number of days or be part of the process, allowing them to come into the kitchen and cook one section of the meal, whether it's making a salad, whether it's putting dinner rolls on a pan for them to go in the oven, and they got to watch it and time it and be responsible for, indicating when they come out if they burn. It's just a habit. Like, we burn stuff all the time as adults because we get distracted. It's a consequence they have to learn. I'm not saying burn down a house. I'm just saying food burns. It gets really toasty sometimes. Allowing them to make those decisions, allowing them to pick out their school clothes if they don't have uniforms, allowing them to pick out their own underclothes at the store or pick out their own clothes at the store. Same thing with sneakers, allowing them to pick activities on the weekend that they can do. And you can put a time limit on it. You can say, we have these 2 hours to do what you choose. You choose. And they choose what they want to choose. And maybe sometimes you'll give them 6 options and say, these are the things we could do, especially if it has a price tag. You want to kind of guide that, because children will be like, let's go to Disney World. Like, you can't do that in 2 hours. So maybe you give them 6 choices of things that they can do. And you let them choose. And whatever they choose, you do for that 2 hours.
Right.
That gives them the feeling that they have some choice in their world. And it promotes self-opinions, it promotes self-choice, it promotes them able to positively choose and stick to their choices.
Not to mention be aware of what it is they like and what others like. When they choose something and people get excited about it, they feel good about themselves.
Right. And so for me, I always like to compound lessons. So even in that choice, you can do a financial lesson. So you could tell them, okay, so if we go here, it's going to cost this much for X, Y, Z, whatever. Like, my children love to go to places where there's like race cars, bumper cars, and arcade. So we could say, okay, the race cars is this much. Are we doing that? Yes. Is everyone doing that? Yes or no? Bumper cars is this. Is everyone doing that? This is how much it's going to cost. Okay, this is how much we have left in the total budget for this activity to do the arcade. And sometimes the children will be like, okay, well, maybe I'll only do 1 race on the bumper cars instead of 2. Right. Or they'll try and get more money out of it. But either way, these are ways you could teach them financial literacy.
Right. And give them their own choices.
Right. Because children are expensive all the way around. So putting a cap on their limit just teaches them how things are going to be when they're adults. They're not going to be able to do everything in the way that they want to. Like, if money wasn't an issue, we would travel all the time. We would not be here right now because we would be somewhere else. We would probably still be broadcasting, but we would be doing it from like Egypt or Africa. You said the right one, girl. Like, we wouldn't be here right now in Massachusetts. But again, these are things that you just got to teach these children, so that way when they get to be adults, they can budget a little bit more effectively.
And if you teach them early, then they can more than likely, when they get to be 20, 30s, they can learn to go ahead and make those plans.
Right. And so teaching them all of this shows them how things are as adults without fully pushing the pressure onto them early. And so oftentimes children are just kind of quickly turned from children to adults. Now you have the stress of the world. And so doing it early allows them to slowly transition their mind and their mindset and their skills to be able to hold on to these things, which will ultimately decrease some of the depression, some of the anxiety, some of the stress, because they're not crash learning all these things.
That's true. That's true. Start early.
Yeah. So that's our tips for preschoolers. Work with them, learn with them,
Listen
allow
to
them
yes.
to have a voice and to choose.
Yes.
Peace, love, and happiness.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Till next time.